know you said all the competitions are open and it's May. Do you anticipate sticking with Jackson on punts and Mecca on kickoff, or how will you navigate those two spots in the tournament?
Yeah, we do have some guys that can be in a rotation back there. If you know, last year Garrett started the year at punt returner, and then Jackson kind of took that over late. Travion Henderson actually was the first guy back there against Minnesota last year, and in Mecca, he ended up showing things in practice, and even through fall camp, that was back and forth. And the truth is, we want to get our best guys the ball as often as we can. That's an opportunity that we can do that. We also love to give opportunities to, different people. That's, I think, Emeka owned that role at kickoff return. He owned it last year and had a really good season. And so there's a lot of different factors. How much are touching the ball in other places? Do we have opportunity to get guys the ball back in those roles, and how can it help our team? So going into it, that's where we'll be. I can't tell you where we end up, but we do have a lot of options, and I'm excited about it.
Is Cam Martinez in that group?
Absolutely. He caught balls all spring, and he showed flashes. Obviously, he's a high school quarterback that was dynamic with the ball in his hands. He had the one pick six last year, which kind of showed off. He jokes with me after that catch. He's like, "Put me back there." So I told the different punt returners, "Watch out, here he comes." And so that's just something that he keeps working at, and I definitely think he's in the mix.
Parker, to have, I think you already asked about this, but to have all three guys back, not doesn't make your job easier, but does it allow you to start to think about the future and help and develop those guys a little more than you would if you had, Noah for the first time last year and a new punter in there?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think what it helps is, one, those guys, regardless of how it shakes out, now down the line as we go forward, those guys have experience in the shoe, in big games, in big moments, and they can help other people see it from that viewpoint now. And so that's something that's important. Even if you go to Jesse, his first game last year on the road was his first football game. I know he's very talented, and there's a lot of things he does well, but that was different for him. And so now he's got a whole season under his belt, and he can grow from that. But can he also help some of the other? Absolutely. So looking at the future, I don't want to say it quite like that, because we got a lot of work to do before we even. Those guys have a lot of work to do to get better for this fall. But yeah, the experience is only a good thing.
Chris took a lot of ownership. Chris Olave took a lot of ownership in being on the field for special teams. You had Terry before him. There's a long lineage of that. Do you see Keon and Caleb and some of these young guys starting to take ownership of that and becoming, what you need them to be for your special teams unit to be successful?
I do. I really do. I see. It started really. The first one I was here for was Devin Smith. He was the best gunner in America when he was here back in 2012 and 13, and he really took ownership of that. And what happened is, from there, as you mentioned, some of the guys, Jeff Okuda, there's a bunch of guys that have done great. Paris Campbell was a gunner. There's a lot of guys that have done really, really well out there, and that has passed on. Chris was always the guy that he'd look at you, he'd be tired, he'd say, "I'm going. I got it." And there's a number of guys that had a great spring in that. We haven't covered live kicks on punts or on kickoffs in the spring, but Jaden Ballard had a great spring, and he's really pushing me to go be that guy. And he has the skill set and the ability to go do that. And you've seen how careers can kind of take off once guys own a job and then they go do it the best they can. And I'm excited about a bunch of those young guys.
He just kind of asked you about whether it's Jackson or the guys back on the kick and punt return. Do you have to take into account you don't want those guys to get an injury on special teams, but you also want your best players to get the ball in those situations? Like, what's that balance like? Talking with Hartline, talking with Coach Day, like, do you guys have those conversations?
We do. It's in some situations it's more about making sure you spread out your touches to the right guys. If you have opportunity of multiple players that are close to or equal, then you want to make sure you get guys touches. Like I said last year in Mecca, he was a guy that he owned that KOR role really early, and so he wasn't getting touches on offense. So he said, how can we get him the ball there? So there'll be a number of guys will try back there, but you really want to get opportunities for your game breakers to have the ball in their hands if that's something that matters.
Is the kick return drought going to end this year?
I can't speak to that. You got to ask Emeka about that. We got close a couple times. Close doesn't count. But no, I think he was really close to breaking a couple, and the truth is you got to keep plugging. And sometimes it's one cut, one missed tackle, or one slight adjustment that we have to make and finish a little bit stronger, a little tougher. We'll see.
I'll take that as a yes.
We'll see. You say whatever you want to say.
Parker,